making sure no VPs go uncaptured as well. Meanwhile, TyranidTerror's secondary power farm is going to fall.
Scouts ready.
And we can see the Hive Tyrant now getting himself the Venom Cannon. That also received a buff. It now fires on the move, just like the Venom Brood Warriors. So hopefully with the Hive Tyrant being able to move and fire, that'll be a pretty solid counter to the Razorback. An excellent smite right into the pile of Termagants there. Ravner is getting forced off after a Burrow Strike. And he needs to be very careful with those scouts. They are retreating off the Razorback, but the Razorback is pretty low on health right now. The Librarian managed to scare off that Zoanthrope, and the Hive Tyrant's going to be a bit too far back to do. Actually, here goes an excellent charge right up to that Razorback. I'm not sure. It is in range. Fires off that shot, and that Razorback blasts right into the side of Green Tooth Gorge there. Two heavily injured scout squads coming out of that. Of course, the Apothecary will be able to see to that.
Scouts here. The enemy has 3.
And that was an excellent play. That right there just shows the potential of the new Hive Tyrant's Venom Cannon being able to fire on the move. Definitely going to be a much more powerful counter to the quicker moving Tier 2 transports that come onto the field. Again, the Apothecary just tanking away a pile of damage here, and the scouts moved up and started to harass these Termagants that have been backcapping all of Bizzie's requisition. An excellent retreat grenade, but not quite spot on. Did manage to tag a couple models.
Ready to serve.
Again, that's what I love about multiple scout plays. You just get to see grenades everywhere. Meanwhile, the Apothecary's just been tanking half the Tyranid army on his own. The Sanguine Chainsword combined with his own heals. You can see he's gone ahead and gotten himself the Armor of Purity, which reduces the cooldown, and here comes the improved medical equipment, which will give him some nice energy regen to go along with that. He's tanking pretty well, but he's not going to be able to deal with all this. He needs to be very careful right now and get out of there. He does fall, unfortunately. Luckily for Bizzie, the rest of his squads are capping the map right now, getting the third Oh, actually, it looks like his scouts aren't capping. They're just hanging out there by the victory point, grabbing a quick smoke or something, unfortunately, instead of doing their jobs. Ravener's moving in, going to be a lot more effective against these scouts now that they have their Devourers. Took a bit of a grenade hit there, but didn't do too much damage. And TyranidTerror is going to go ahead and move into Tier 3. 2 scout squads and the Librarian scared off the Zoanthrope on the west side of the map there. And it looks like the Apothecary hopped right back up with Blessing of Lairman, I believe. An excellent smite right on top of his own Apothecary. He has the regen to deal with it, though. And this grenade could finally finish off a squad right there. There it goes! Nice! Finished that Termagant squad. Librarian took a bit of a hit again, but he does not care. He's got the regen to deal with it. Another Brood Nest has been brought onto the field. You can see at the reduced cost, TyranidTerror is just not hesitating to bring those onto the field and let himself reinforce. Unfortunately, this Venom Cannon is not doing too much against Bizzie's infantry here. He's probably going to need to change that into something else soon. With Terminators being called onto the field, since Bizzie is also now Tier 3. That Hive Tyrant and Termagants are going to have to get out of there. TyranidTerror has been doing an excellent job of preserving, trying to keep those victory points from ticking off too bad. Bizzie did have a triple cap against him for quite some time there, but despite the engagement in the center, TyranidTerror used his Raveners and Termagants to capture the east and western victory points. So, good play by him. Raveners are in a bit of trouble, though. They do have Terminators between them and their base. They're moving in for melee, and 2 swings of the Power Fist, and he is down. An unfortunate loss for TyranidTerror. He lost both the Termagants and the Raveners right there very recently together here. Meanwhile, the Librarian's under a bit of fire. A nice smite, but it looks like it didn't do too much damage. And an Assault Cannon now upgraded on the Terminators. He decides to go ahead and get the heck out of there. Don't want that Zoanthrope going off and blasting all his Gants down with the combined force of those Assault Terminators and the scouts, they probably wouldn't have gotten out of there. The Carnifex now on the field, a big, scary, monstrous Tyranid. And this was exactly what I was concerned about. Bizzie really has no anti-vehicle at this point. He probably could have held off on those Terminators, honestly, and gotten himself a Predator, and he'd be in a much better position to deal with this right now. But since he did go for the good old Terminators, which of course have excellent synergy with the Apothecary, you really can't blame him. He should have had some sort of anti-vehicle option ready. If he's when you're playing, if you're tier 3, neither power farm's really been raised as far as the primary. Both the secondary ones have come and gone. But if you're tier 3, you know your opponent's tier 3. And if you can get Terminators, they can get a Carnifex. You can see TyranidTerror not hesitating to go ahead and get the Thorn back on that Carnifex. So it'll be able to charge.
The enemy is destroying a key structure.
And some Termagants. Scout's still trying to get some backups in here. Pretty solid grenade. Got a couple. Looks like its own squad did not manage to take any losses from that grenade, but a little bit of friendly fire there.
Claiming a victory point.
And now we're moving back into the middle. You can see Bizzie instantly responded to that Carnifex with a las cannon, but it's charging on in, crushing scouts all over the place, knocking Terminators to the ground, and followed up by a Hive Tyrant charge, knocking more over. You can see some Rippers spawn from Thornback, and one of the scout squads gets stabbed down by the Carnifex. You can see a Warp Field also on the Hive Tyrant, and he did switch to his Crushing Claw now as opposed to his Venom Cannon. And Ripper's going to go around and harass the ranged squads as much as they can. You can see Bizzie's down to just 2 scout squads now. And TyranidTerror has managed to take the entire map back once again very quickly here. Terminator's under a lot of pressure right now. You can see a spore drop here. Sorry. That is the new without number. You can drop a squad of Raveners for very little cost, 100 red and 50 rec, I believe. Very low rec cost for a squad, and it's doing an excellent job of keeping that las cannon tied up. And again, the Thornback charging right in the middle of the Space Marine army. The Rippers are going to die, it looks like, but they did their job of keeping that las cannon under control. It looks like Bizzie's going to try to retreat that into one of the garrisons by her base. This is really one of the best bases to get trapped by a vehicle. And oh no! The Carnifex just managed to take out that las cannon Devastator squad right before it escaped into the relative safety of that garrison. They needed an Apothecary heal on them, but unfortunately for them, it was just not there. Bizzie really needs to get on the field. He should just split up. This Carnifex can't be everywhere. And unfortunately, his power farm has been falling to the Zoanthrope and the Termagants right now. Bizzie's going to push back onto the field here. He really has a pretty short time to try to deal with getting these V3s back. He needs to be careful with these scouts. They are under some Zoanthrope fire. Heal at the last second probably saved that Sergeant. I'm pretty sure he would have gone down to that shot otherwise. And these Terminators not quite finishing off those Termagants right there. The Apothecary's in a bit of trouble. There he goes. He falls down. Lictor's on the field now, harassing the Librarian. And there's not much time left to deal with this. Those Terminators are going to have to back on out of there. Looks like the Apothecary used the Blessing again to pull himself back up. Going to finish off those Rippers and probably try to at least grab a victory point or something here. He really needs to get out of his base, send one of these scout squads off to the farther victory point or something, and get some map control back here. Unfortunately, he's locked into his base. Here comes another charge. Oh, and a Tyranniform happening right into the middle of Bizzie's base. He needs to move right now, knocking over Devastators and scouts, destroying a base turret, and just a perfect Tyranniform right in the middle there. I think that's it for Bizzie. He's trapped in his base. There's really not too much he can do. That Librarian's in a bit of trouble. The Carnifex just hacking away at him. And I think that's going to be all she wrote. There goes the Librarian. Carnifex tossing him up like a little Scooby snack and throwing him over his shoulder. There goes the last victory point, and that's it for Bizzie.
is an invitation
that
for
4-scout opening
competition.
worked very well in the beginning of the game. He managed to get TyranidTerror's VPs down very quickly, but as soon as that vehicle came onto the field, he just had no options. I feel like he probably could have remedied that with a Predator and something instead of getting the Terminators right off the bat. But hindsight is 20/20, of course. That was a good game by both sides. Pretty cool build order. I like seeing something a little different. Always boring to see the same old thing, and we got to see some of the new war gear changes take effect here from 3.18. So anyways, that's the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is Red-Rupee. I'll catch you guys next time.